again, coming back to our original, like our first point, maintaining your frequency. If
Yeah.
you're able to use these tools and bring yourself back, that's really empowering because you can
Okay.
now go through your day like, oh, I don't need to worry about this external energy because I know that I'm safe. I know that I'm divine. I know that I can shift. I can transmute anything I don't like.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Wealth Within Us. Today, I'm super fortunate to have Jessica Garon with me. She is the owner of Nourished Heart Healing and she channels light codes. So I am super excited to talk to you. You are the first person that I have had on that channels the light codes. So I would love to know how you got started with this. And I've been hearing it like more and more often. I'd never heard of it before, but it just came into my awareness maybe a few months ago. But now I'm starting to, of course, see it everywhere. And then I met you and you've agreed to do this. So I'm super grateful to have you on, Jessica. So let's get started. How did you get started in this?
Thank you so much, Michelle. It was a pleasure to meet you. Can I share our story? How we
Oh,
met at the
yeah, absolutely.
So Michelle and I were both, we had both had booths at the Awaken Expo in the greater Philadelphia area. And she came over and she was curious because she heard some sounds emanating from my area. And she came over and talked about the light codes. But basically, I light language and light codes and channeling light codes is quite new to me.
Hmm.
I've been doing it for a little bit under a year, and I've always been intuitive. I had a intuitive reading business. I was reading oracle cards and tarot. This was pre-pandemic, and then I've always had this really interesting relationship with sound
Oh,
and my voice. I studied classical voice in my college years. I studied opera,
that's amazing.
and thank you.
No, I mean, really is. You don't find many people that have studied opera. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty niche, I'd say. There were things I loved about it, and then things that didn't really seem in alignment.
Hmm.
One of the things was that everything was under constant analysis. So all the sounds that I was making, where I was placement, they always talk about placement, where you're placing your tone. Everything was really put under a microscope and kind of analyzed.
So it sounds
And
like there
that's
wasn't a lot of freedom.
exactly. And it sort of took, eventually, after many years of study, it kind of took the fun out of it, I guess.
I could see that.
And I decided, I don't know if I want to devote my life's work to this. But I love to bring forth
Hmm.
my voice and my this incredible gift we all have, this physical instrument. And after um, after I was exposed to light language fairly recently, I started experimenting on my own and everything just kind of poured in. Everything clicked. I got multiple messages in the spirit that, oh, this is you're supposed to be using your voice.
It was like all that training had led up to that moment.
Yes. And it was sort of this great release and relief because I could put the rational mind in the back burner and just channel and let it flow.
Oh,
So it's been pretty quick since that initial. I did have an incredible session, an activation with a woman who channels light codes. Her name is Sarah Asha Rose. She has a pretty big Instagram presence. Perhaps you could share her
yeah, I
information.
can definitely put her information in the whatever platform you're on, and I'll definitely add her information in the description.
Awesome. Yeah, she just kind of allowed me to, well, really validated that I had this connection. And I had that activation with her, and then it just started coming. It just
Were you
poured.
like, what is happening?
Yes. Yes. It was unbelievable to me because these frequencies that I was feeling and channeling were at once so familiar. Like they made sense on a cellular level to me, and comforting, but also I had never done it before in this lifetime. So a little bit jarring and unexpected. And you worry about, okay, what are people going to think of this?
How long between the time that you heard about light codes and light language until you actually got the activation? Because something must have happened where you were like, you found this woman and
yes.
Oh, it was that quick?
It was pretty instant. There was something about her energy that I recognized.
Okay.
We had similar vibrations. So I booked the session with her. And then literally like after the session, I started speaking in light codes.
Wow.
And singing in light codes too. So that's sort of how it's all come about. And I do feel like it's kind of crystallized my soul purpose. I know that I'm intuitive and, I have this voice part of it, but it's really brought things together. And I believe in sharing it with people to help them feel more comfortable and resonant with their soul voice. And also for sensitives and empaths, it can really help you maintain your own frequency.
What do you mean by that? Maintain your own frequency? I love that. It just sounds really good. I'm now like, what does that mean?
Right. So the best way I can kind of illustrate using an example. Before I really sunk into light codes, I knew about, psychic protection and trying not to be sort of brought into the emotions of others, maintaining your own vibration.
Okay. So almost like, some people do the liquid gold that they'll pour around them where it really just keeps out sort of those negative energies.
Yes. So I'd say before the light language, I didn't know what tool was best for me, but now I know that it's the sound and it's the frequencies of light language that help me maintain where I'm supposed to be. Otherwise, going into a crowded space for me used to be really triggering. And
I could see that. Yes. Yeah.
So I'll, if I know that I'm going to be in an environment where there are lots of people and different energies swirling around, I'll internally speak some light language. I might do some hand motions too, which is also a form of light language. And it just helps me maintain my vibe. So I'm not at the mercy of whatever else is swirling around. And no judgment on anyone else.
But yes, a lot of this stuff out there, like it's not our stuff. Exactly. But if you're very empathic, which obviously you completely are, and I am as well, it's like you tend to pick up on that stuff by default. And I think most of us are doing it by default and don't even like realize that you need protection or anything, and don't even realize that maybe by the end of the day, even if you just go out shopping, that you'll come home and you're like, and you've just picked up so many other people's energies. Cause it's almost like a soup. You just kind of throw everything in and just soup for the best. My dad used to do that. He used to just chuck all the scrap in there and you're like, how are you making it?
Or one of the crock pot.
I'll abstain.
Dinners.
Yeah. the ultimate potluck where it's all in the pot.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's that protection that keeps you grounded and keeps your energy sort of to yourself and not allowing other people's emotions and stuff in.
Exactly.
It's good or bad. It's not yours.
No, exactly. And I notice, it drains your energy, of course, if you're allowing you're kind of soaking up like a sponge, whereas this does help me maintain that boundary. So
that must have been very relieving. It's probably changed your whole like going outside sort of experience.
It's changed everything.
Oh,
I feel
in such a short time.
In such a short time. And I know that's not that unique. A lot of people, most people I follow on Instagram who do this. I don't know so many people in my physical world who are doing this yet, but they've shared similar stories that it was like a download. Like they may have previous lifetimes where they were doing this kind of channeling or healing, and it just kind of downloaded into this awareness in this time and space and plane. So
would you say that where are the light codes coming from? Like, is it a different realm that's still within our realm? Like, where are they coming from? Like, who are that sounds weird. Who are the light codes? But like,
no, where are they coming from? I think that's a great question. Sometimes I know, and sometimes I don't. I use my discernment. So I've been channeling a lot since this awakening. I've never had an energy that I didn't like come in.
Okay.
And I think
probably
that's
because you've got that protection.
Yeah. And the vibration is so high. Sometimes I know, like at first it was my highest self that I was channeling because it felt like me. It felt super familiar. It felt like an extension, like a soul fractal of me.
Yes.
But when I channel for clients, it's often either their soul family groups, which could be like starseed, different star nations. It could be like more archangelic connections for them. Sometimes it's their highest self as well. And sometimes I don't know. And I'll ask, and the answer may be given and it may not be. Oftentimes I get the answer from spirit, like, you don't need to know. It's just going to confuse matters.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to give this person just trust that I am a clear, open channel for what they need. But sometimes it's funny, again, it's this balance between the rational mind, like really wanting to know, okay, am I channeling Pleiadians? Am I channeling Arcturians?
Yeah.
Like really wanting to have that label. And it just depends on the moment. So it's a really good exercise in surrendering, just allowing.
Yes. And I think we all struggle with that. I know that I do. And I think I've mentioned to you that I do the Akashic Records stuff. And I do feel it's mostly I'm talking to my higher self or with somebody else, it's their higher self, that I get a very strong sense of that as well. But I do feel that the hardest lesson is that surrendering, and not bringing in your own experience and making sure that, okay, this isn't me. And how do you navigate that? Like keeping yourself separate, like you said, instead of like, well, I kind of want to know because I know I'm like this big true seeker and I'm like, oh, what is that? Where did it come from? I have to know. And I do have a hard time dropping the have to know stuff as well.
Yes, we have to give it a name, right? A message that I've recently been getting is it's just frequency. It's just frequency. It doesn't even really matter where it's coming from.
Well, as long as it's coming from the higher realms.
Well, right.
Yeah.
In which you would be able to feel
the darker sort of stuff.
Yeah. I've heard other light language practitioners say, like, if you you feel like there's an entity or an energy with you and you don't like it, you can just immediately cut it off and just say, nope, I'm done. Don't come into my space. But as I said, I have not had experience with that.
Oh, that's good.
Because I feel super protected going into it. I don't know if I kind of meandered away from your original question.
Oh yeah, it was like, how do you drop the ego? Like, what do you do to drop the ego part of it? That need to know. I would say the surrender. And I think
how do you surrender?
And the trust is the hardest part of anything.
It's so challenging, but it's also so freeing. I just let the sounds come. It's much easier when I'm channeling for other people because I know that I'm being of service and I know that I should be getting out of the way.
Yes, it makes sense. Whereas like we kind of want to force our own will on our own.
Yes.
Our own stuff. Like, no. It should be this way.
Exactly.
Like, hold on a second. That's not what I ordered.
Yes, the spirit and the universe has the plan for us, and we are just kind of passing the energy and the information along. So.
No, that's amazing. So tell me a little bit about like what languages and how you receive it. So we've
Mhm.
kind of gone over, okay, so we kind of know where it's coming from. It's coming from these higher realms. It could be the stars. What do you call them?
Carnations.
The star nations. Is it basically you're translating? Because I know with Akashic Records, it's basically a channel, but it comes in not in my voice, but just as English. Like it comes in how I speak. You know, not necessarily the tones and stuff like that, but it's how we speak. So how does it come in? Are you translating?
Sometimes, yes. Again, it's not concrete. It's
Mm,
so etheric and it's variable depending on the client.
okay.
Sometimes the client will sit down and I'll get the clear message, like just give them the frequencies. You don't need to translate, like they're going to get it. They're going to get it on the soul level, and you're really doing sort of a tune up for their energy.
Okay.
Like almost sometimes a clearing, they've absorbed things and they need to just come back to center.
Okay.
Um, Other times there is a translation involved. I did a group channeling at the Awaken event on the Sunday. It was the day you weren't in attendance. But that one, I think because we had so much amazing energy in the room, and the ask from spirit was a little bit different. So what they had me do was drop in. I did some singing first.
Okay.
And I did some speaking. And as I was speaking and doing some movement here with my fingers, I was translating. So I was kind of switching back and forth.
Hmm. So how do you
Um,
hear it then?
I'm absorbing it through my psychic senses. So
Okay.
sometimes it's definitely clairsentient. So
Okay.
for the for the energies where people might need grounding, the tone of my voice will change and like where my voice is coming from will change.
Hmm. Which makes sense.
Like, yeah. So let's say a person needs grounding, the tones will be lower, maybe something like this. Noya shakareti rasa suya sayo sura ra ra io noya sa iayo korea sa. I might use the breath a little bit differently. It's sort of in my chest,
Okay.
as opposed to other messages that come in tend to be higher, like coming from the crown, lighter and different. It's so hard to put this
Yeah.
into words. I feel like I
Yeah.
feel like I'm struggling. It's
I
it's
mean, it's
different.
beautiful.
It's different every time. It's
Yeah.
different every time.
So it's basically, so what I'm understanding is that it's frequencies and they're
Yes.
frequencies of healing,
Mhm.
knowledge, anything else,
Connection. I'd say
connection.
connection, recognition, like recognizing that you're
Mm,
part of this incredible fabric and that
okay.
you're infinite and you're powerful. I
Like
have,
bringing us back to who we really are. It sounds like it's really trying that with the frequencies, it's trying to wake us up. So I would
yeah,
imagine that's a big part of it. Like I do feel we're all in this awakening of we don't know who we are. And we've all kind of been struggled and we've all been distracted by the material world, so to say, that we've forgot about this world that we cannot see,
yes,
but we can. So it's
yeah,
almost like awakening our eyes to what was previously unseen.
exactly. And we think of it sort of being external, but it's already within us.
Hmm.
And it's sort of on when I do a session, oftentimes it unlocks something in the client where there's often a very strong emotional response. Sometimes people
Okay.
will cry, at the tones and the frequencies that I'm
Yeah.
bringing in. Sometimes people will get really excited and like their hands will buzz and their demeanor will change.
Okay.
Sometimes people sometimes people get very relaxed.
Mhm.
It meets you where you are, and it in most cases it bypasses the 3D rational mind.
And it sounds like even from the receiver's end.
Yes.
Yeah. And I do sometimes feel like that with even just with energy work too. Because I imagine it's all frequency, right?
Yeah. In fact, I'm only Reiki level 1, but I've felt a lot of corollaries between Reiki and
Okay.
how light language comes through. So Reiki, right, we have the universal energy flow.
Yeah.
It's unseen, but it goes where it needs to go.
Yes.
I think that's similar to the light codes that I've been channeling. And what's really interesting about light language, even though we say language, we think of voice,
Mm-hmm.
it can also be silent. Sometimes I'll
Okay.
post videos and it's just,
And that's it.
and that's it. Sometimes it's dance. Some people channel light codes through dancing. Some people channel light codes through art or more
Okay.
visual mediums. Sometimes you may even see like what looks like a language, like a written language, but otherworldly. A lot of people channel written light language.
Mhm.
I'm sure
Are
there's
they
someone.
actually writing? Because like I've heard of the trans, what do they call it? Like writers or
Automatic writing.
automatic writing. Yeah.
Yes, yes, they are writing physically, but they're almost in like a trance state. They're just,
Okay. Because that's what a trance channel would be. Like you're literally in a trance
yes,
and are you conscious of what you're doing? Like when you're receiving the light codes, are you conscious of, you know what I mean? Like, are you conscious at the time where it's like, I don't know, like just came through me? Hmm?
um, most of the time I do feel like I'm pretty aware,
Yeah, aware.
especially if I feel the need that I have to translate.
Hmm.
But that may change at some point. I feel like this is so
Yeah.
fluid, and I'm really just getting comfortable.
Yeah. It's like
And
anything else. You got to start out like here and then you practice. And then as you practice, you know, more, I would say, expertise over it just develops and new skills then develop and new awakenings, even just from that.
yes, and it's so interesting to me to see how this comes through others.
Mm,
Because when I first had my activation, I was really kind of obsessed with this, and
I know I would be too. So I'm
I,
not even
I shouldn't. I'm not saying this is
like,
the
come over here.
yes, exactly. I'm not saying this is the best thing to do, but I went to a family party and I explained to my mom what I was doing. I'm like, I have to give you a light language activation. Which is, looking back, is a little bit cringeworthy because I know that she wasn't ready for it, and yet she loves
Mhm.
me. Not everyone is
Yeah.
ready. Not This is not for everybody.
Mhm.
Even at the expo where we met, I had a number of people come over, and some people even spoke with me,
Oh,
which was
wow.
awesome.
Did they not know at that time or they already did?
They knew what I was
Okay.
offering because I had my services written out. Um,
No, I mean, did they know that they had the ability to do that? I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure we all have. I firmly believe we all have the ability to do any of this. It's whether number
absolutely.
one, we choose to, whether we're open to.
Mhm.
But yeah, I do feel like we all have the ability to
I
do
would
modalities.
I would definitely agree with that. And it's all too, I mean, we can, when you first have your spiritual awakening, there's so many things, and it's like a buffet, right? It's like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want to do this, I want to do this. Um, but then once we settle in and we say, okay, this is actually really in alignment for me. I felt that
Yeah.
way with language because of my voice.
Which makes a lot
Um,
of sense for you. And I do think that that's true. While we may try many, many things, it's just like, I remember when my kids were little, like I stuck them in all these sports.
yes.
It's like, I don't know why I did it. I think truthfully I did because everybody else did it. You know, there's
Uh-huh.
a reason why. But But then you see what sticks. And like for my son, it was soccer, and like that was all he wanted to do. And I'm like, I'm fine with that because I don't like doing all this stuff. Like, let's just focus on the one.
That's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah. But it's true. You do like the T-ball, which was just like painful.
I've
And
heard,
soccer and all the things, the dance and this and that.
oh yeah, I've heard T-ball takes a long time.
You have to have a lot of patience to watch those kids play T-ball. Oh God.
Oh,
They're
we're
so
not quite there
cute.
yet. My son is great.
Okay, so
I
they're still
know.
little yet. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a soccer and karate.
Okay, yeah. See, you just don't know what sticks. And I think that's why you have the buffet.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, especially personally, I don't like food buffets that kind of skeeve me out, but if you use the analogy like, well, I'll try that thing there, and then you're like, God, yeah, I'm not into that thing, but like you could try it. Try it on, and you're like, yeah, no, and then this thing, you're like, oh, I'm going back for more of that.
Get another plate.
Exactly. I've overstuffed myself. No. But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. It is like all these things, and I find that it's like you using the buffet analogy, you don't even have to go to the buffet. I feel with this stuff, the buffet comes to you.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like even so I did the Reiki, and I got to Reiki master, and I did all that stuff years ago. And I would say I really, really enjoyed it, but I never became a practitioner of it. I was more for myself and, for family and friends, and did that kind of thing, but never felt at that time. And maybe I was blocking it. I just never felt at that time that it was my calling to do that kind of a practice. And then, like I started doing the Akashic Records. I'm in an Akashic Record, practice group, which is so cool because on Tuesdays, our group on Tuesdays is now open. So if you do light language, you can practice light language. People practice mediumship, whatever your modality is. It's kind of now become an open practice. And now the Thursday is strictly with the Akashic Records. So it's really kind of morphed into this really beautiful thing. And it's exposing other people to different modalities, because sometimes, like you said, we get on this path and, you're passionate about this one thing, and then something else enters, but it was what you had done previously that prepared you, I feel, for the next thing.
Yes, definitely. And I think you brought up such a beautiful point. I don't believe that everyone has to start working with clients either.
True.
Like, I feel like there's a little bit of pressure in the spiritual community that once you learn something, you have to immediately work with clients. But as you said, with the Reiki, if you're practicing on yourself, like, that's great. You're tending to yourself, and that's having a ripple effect on others.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that up.
And I think you kind of, for me, like I'm in this practice group and I love it. And I just started offering basically donation-based Akashic record readings because I don't feel I'm where I'm at. And who knows, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but it's all like where we're at. Like, I don't feel like that's something I want to do right now as a solid thing. But yet I love doing it. I feel very comfortable doing it. So I want to start putting out there. So I think we also all have our own steps. Some people, they just jump right into it. They hang out the shingle, they hang out the website, whatever it is. And you're like, I'm in business. And me, I'm like, I'm tiptoeing in.
Yeah, you gotta get comfortable. That's okay.
Exactly. And with you too, it sounds like sometimes I wish I had, I guess that's a confidence, but like sometimes I wish I had that, but we're all at our own pace. So we shouldn't compare ourselves anyway, because we're all just doing our own thing and we're just being guided as long as we listen to where we're supposed to be. And I think that like for this moment in our life, we're supposed to be here and then it's here. And like for you, it was with the opera and the voice training, which went into the tarot and the cards and all this other stuff. And then now you're into the light language. Mm-hmm. So, and I guess it's part of that trusting and letting go that if this is what I'm meant to do for the rest of my life, then I will know that. And if it's not, then the next thing will show up.
Exactly. And it's so hard. The surrender
It
is
is. Oh gosh, right?
being held.
I think some of us have this anti-surrender gene. It's like it's probably called the control gene. Um, but yeah, I'm getting better at surrender though, because the thing I find, and I'm sure you do as well with surrender, is that the more we practice it, it's like, oh my, life is so much better here.
No,
Why wasn't I doing this? What am I holding on to?
yes, it's like the natural course. It just
Is.
goes. Yeah.
But hey, there's people like me that are keeping energy and transformational coaches in business. because I think we all struggle with it to a certain degree. And, it just depends on where you're at, what your background was, what you were exposed to as a kid. Like as a kid, none of this stuff was in my realm. I was kind of the outsider of my family being like, I'm interested in these kind of things, but yet no one else was. I was like, what the heck are you doing? But now I've roped my sister in, so it's all good.
Hey, you're a partner then.
Exactly. So then now it's becoming a lot more fun. Yeah.
So you mentioned something that is really an interesting part of this whole spiritual journey, and light language too. For me, I do have two small kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I do it with them.
Of course, I would too. Like, even when I learned the Reiki, I'm like, come over here, kid.
Oh, get away.
Got some issues. Let's do some Reiki. No.
Last weekend, we always try to do outdoor things on the weekends. And we went to this beautiful stream. And whenever I'm in nature now, it's like a faucet. I have to speak light language. Like,
Oh.
it's just such a visceral need. So, they're aware of what I do a little bit. And I went over to the water and I asked if I could connect to the water spirits. And this light language came out, and I got this message about surrender and flow and the warming of the water and the natural, the change of the seasons, and how when we return, it's going to look different here. And that's okay. Like, it was just so an awesome message. And I shared that with my daughter. She's super inquisitive and very tuned in. And then she had me go to all the other elements and things that were around us. And she's like, Mommy, let's do the rocks next. So we put our hands on the rocks and we did the moss. We did the wind because it was a breezy day.
It was amazing.
So cool.
Yes.
Such a gift to share that kind of
connection. My God. I mean, honestly, what a gift to your kids. Seriously, what a gift.
Yeah, it's and they don't think I'm weird.
Of course not. We're never weird to our kids. Only, I have twins and they're 20. They're going to be 23 actually in like 2 weeks. And yeah, it's funny because they'll say I'm weird. Like I tried to do Psych K with my daughter this morning, and I really I was like, "Are you too?" She acted, and it's like, truthfully, I know in the back of their head they're just like, "Oh, I know she's right, but I just need to put on this, cool or something or whatever it is." But yeah, with my son too, it's sometimes the same. Like, what is wrong with you? But in the background, I 100% believe that they get it. It's just their external perception, because I think there's still a lot of us out there that want to conform. You know what I mean? To a certain degree. And I just don't care anymore. like why? We're here, and community isn't necessarily about conformity.
No, not at all. No,
it's all of us bringing our own piece into the community. I mean, if you had a community when we were all just conforming and doing the same thing, I mean, I don't think that community would get very far.
No.
Or you'd be like, oh, well, we all grow potatoes, and you'd have a very bland diet. Like, okay, let's eat some more potatoes. How many more ways can we make potatoes?
That's a good point, because it would even like the point of connection would not have as much resonance, because we'd be doing the same things and not growing.
Exactly. Exactly. Although we can do all the same things and then still grow. I think that's what the beauty of like conferences and
Yeah,
meetups and things like that, where you're all bringing, but you're bringing your own little piece of it in.
for your own flavor.
Exactly. And then you take it out to your community where you share it with all the other people.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think we learned so much through even just, like you mentioned at that expo, just by everybody that was speaking, got to share with the community of like-minded people that were very interested in what's going on, whether they've been in that community for a long time or brand new to it.
Yeah, that was a great lineup. I wish I had been able to see everything.
Yes. Yes.
The offerings were so diverse and
Yeah,
interesting.
it was really good. It was a good little conference, I have to say, or a good little event, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, okay. So what else can we learn about light language?
Well, do you want to hear some more? I know I did a
Would
little
love
bit.
to hear some. So when you do light language, is it just like anything else? Like I'm tuning into this or that? Like what will you be tuning into?
Um, I personally am going to tune into my breath because I feel
Okay.
like there's been a lot going on this week. And it took me, before our podcast, it took me a little while to drop into my
Mm,
seat.
okay.
And I don't know, you can tell me how you're feeling too. I
I
feel
felt that,
read in a lot of
and I know that the Mercury retrograde just ended, and I definitely felt very off. I do website design as well. So it's like there was crazy things that happened that just kind of are unexplainable. Like, wait a minute, I just did that and it's not there. And I've had to redo a lot of things. I feel very unnecessary. It's been a weird energy, and I feel like I'm finally getting out of it. Are you feeling the same thing? It's been very off.
It has, for me, this is super interesting. We had, well, the eclipse portal, but right before the eclipse, I'm in New Jersey. We had an earthquake,
Oh,
which,
that's right. That's right.
yeah.
We felt it here actually, because I'm out. I don't even think I'm an hour from you. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that kind of heralded this whole eclipse portal personally for me because
Mm,
I read that energy of the earthquake as this huge release that really allowed a lot of the integration from the eclipse shift to take hold. So
mm,
sort of like preparing,
okay.
at least in our area. So we had that, we had the eclipse, then we just had this full moon in Scorpio on Tuesday, which was super expansive and
Yes.
finally a
Very
chance to,
big in the sky. It was
yes,
bright and beautiful. And that was only, and we're just for reference, it's I think the 25th or the 26th. So that was really only 2, 3 days ago.
right. And for some reason, I feel sort of that hangover of
Mm,
energy from all those events. Also, as a light worker, I think that we were trying to hold the grid and the structure for others as they are
okay.
shifting. And all of that is very tiring.
It's very empath work because
Yes.
you're holding so much space. And I would say in an area like ours, it's interesting that you said that, because I find our area is very, in general, obviously not for everybody, but it's more closed off to this type of knowledge, more closed off to natural healing modalities, energy and light worker stuff, more, more based in very materialistic. Let me see what
Yes.
my doctor says. I don't know if I can have light language. Okay. Anyway, no judgment.
And I think us, not everywhere in the Northeast, but a lot of us are really disconnected from nature.
Agreed.
And I think that has something to do with it.
That makes sense. And an earthquake would make sense then as well if you're disconnected with
Yes.
nature. Yeah.
Yes. So feeling into kind of the need maybe
Okay.
to really recharge. That's the word that's coming to
Mhm.
me. And also we're in we're in my favorite season of Taurus
Oh, I'm a Taurus.
where oh, you are. I wish I were a Taurus,
My
but
birthday is 4/20. So I'm on
oh
the
my
cusp.
gosh, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Um, but in Taurus season, as you know, I'm sure we get to kind of luxuriate and we
Mm.
don't have to, Aries is so masculine and moving forward all the time, but it was such a big month that I'm feeling that need to kind of slow down.
Okay. That
So
makes
I
sense.
think that's what's going to come in, but
Yeah. Well, let's go with it. Let's surrender. Okay. Everybody watching, doesn't matter what time, we're all surrendering.
so just bringing the frequency up. Nuat te kore asai o kore ana siti te kuchuchu yasai ana e arata kakakakakakakakakakaka yes asai o shusho shusho ayanu ayanaka taka rakataka ayasakata ra 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 Oraya saya nakore ayasutu korayasha. Noraya sataka kaka yosora katiki tiki 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 taka yosu. Iana zikiri anasa yosu. Ayo rikiriana surya shatakariana suita. Ina kiti karayana sa. Roshi titikero royana sa roe kitikirayana sayoko eanarasas. Ooh, how do you feel?
Feel pretty good. It was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Like
interesting.
I really feel it on the top, like my crown.
Yeah, a lot of buzzing in the crown, very
Mm.
playful.
Yeah.
A lot of clearing here in the throat chakra. Um, I felt playful as I was channeling it,
Hmm.
like the need to play and run
Yeah.
barefoot in the grass and laugh like a child laughs.
Hmm.
And any nervousness or anxieties were kind of melted away. And she had me doing some solar plexus work and clearing in that area.
Okay. Which makes a
And
little
really,
sense for what's going on.
yeah, like breathing into your center. Um, yeah. Whew.
Yeah. See, now you're good for the rest of the month.
We're good.
We're good for the rest of the month now. No, it's like you just feel this very calming energy come over. And it's almost like I couldn't understand what you were saying, but I could get the feel of it. Whether
Mhm.
if it was like playful and exciting, or it almost seemed like there was a little bit of like, watch out in there, like
Oh,
don't
interesting.
like
Okay.
don't fall into that, almost like not like a bad warning, like something bad's gonna happen, but like kind of like a watch yourself, like
Watch
watch
yourself.
yourself from slipping back into these other things. Yeah. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's what I felt.
Yes. And it's such a tool. It is a tool for the ascension.
Mm,
Um, because again, coming back to our original, like our first point, maintaining your frequency. If
yeah.
you're able to use these tools and bring yourself back
Yeah. Hmm.
by just dropping into this seat of the soul and this space where things are in alignment.
Mm. Very. Yeah. I really love that. How do you think that not just light language, but all these other modalities, how do you think that they're fitting into where we're going as a humanity. I mean, there's so many people, and I watch a lot and I listen to a lot too. But I'm curious as to where you feel this is all leading up to.
Yeah. Well, I definitely feel it's, of course, connected to our kind of shift into 5D. And in 5D, we are not going to be as reactive, and we're going to be really like truly living from our heart center, which is sort of like the ultimate dream.
Yes.
And I feel like all the modalities do kind of, that's where they meet, is the heart.
I 100% agree.
Um, so, and it's not going to happen like for everyone at the same time, because, we are sort of like, I know I've heard the term like way shower. I don't know how I feel about that term. It's a little, I don't know, it sets up like really grandiose expectations, I feel. But the more that we're able to kind of disconnect from the old programming and the old ways that were fear-based into this true heart-centered awareness, then it's going to help others step up their game.
Almost like leading the way.
Yeah.
What to say, like kind of like leading the way. And just like anything else, I mean, I'm sure at one point in time, in fact, I know it in my heart at one point in time that we weren't all programmed to the extent that we are. So it's like cracking that back open. And I do, if I had to like just gut feel where we're headed, I would say a lot of us are starting to drop. I don't want to say drop materialism in, I think excess materialism is what I would say. Cause we're in a material world, so to say, and we are, but I don't think we're ever going to drop material things. But I think there's an excess of materialism, and you see it with like dollar stores and Five Below and things like that, where people, they just go kind of get a quick, cheap fix, I would say. And then it just piles up around. And I know for myself over the last, I would say 5 years, I've been constantly downsizing by like selling things on Facebook or donating or things like that. And just sort of ridding myself of a lot of material things on a mostly a need and an unconscious level. I think consciously, some of it was starting to just, especially years ago, like it would just make me anxious that I had all this stuff. Like, why do I have all this stuff? And then there's the whole another story of where does all that stuff go? And I've really tried to just sell it for other people who might be in need or whatever. But I think we are downsizing into our materialism. And I look now differently at the things I purchase. I would rather purchase things that I truly would like to experience and that are more like of a luxury lasting kind of thing, if that makes sense, like a better quality.
More integrity, right? It has more integrity.
Yeah, I think that's what it would be. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. I think that the materialism part of it, and thank you for this question because I've never really talked about this before.
Oh, I love this subject because I really do believe this.
Yeah. So to me, it's if people are, wanting to buy so much, it's very like fear driven.
I feel it's a satiating thing.
Kind of collect.
Like, I'm not going to do drugs. I'm not going to become an alcoholic, but I'm going to buy stuff because it makes me feel good. It calms the fears or the anxiety, like you were saying, like the sort of everyday fears and anxieties. And I hate to use the word struggles, but yeah, of what's going on in our lives to a certain degree. And we choose that too. I mean, we can let it go. And I think dropping some of the materialism is a way of letting it go.
Definitely. And it's stuff that that you don't need. Like you're aware that I don't need all this in my space. But as you said too, you're bringing things in that are intentional and things that kind of speak to your heart that you have a connection with. But you in particular are very connected to source. So I feel like maybe people who aren't as connected to source and nature, as we kind of touched upon, might also feel the need to kind of fill a void with stuff or other I don't want to say vice, but other things.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And I do think part of our evolution is to drop that.
yeah.
And I feel like it is coming in one way or another.
No, lighter, like be the
Yeah.
light,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Because you figure light,
Travel lighter. Yeah.
yes, I love that. Travel lighter, travel through life lighter. Yeah, I think we could all use a little bit of that. But yeah.
That's also interesting too, that comes in because I've had a number of clients recently who, and myself included,
Mhm.
um, physical weight, which I know can be a really sensitive issue and topic. These in particular were women who are very sensitive and empathic.
Mhm.
I know this is true for me. I've built up some layers of protection in that area,
I 100% agree.
which I feel like now I don't need anymore.
Mm, yeah.
So that is a way that I've sort of
Mhm.
felt that in my body, I guess.
No, I 100% agree with what you're saying because it's no different. If you look at the things that we do, it's just different for us, but they
Mhm.
all kind of, like, and I get that this is a little bit of a sensitive topic, but I do think it's a good analogy. It's like a lot of people who do the like weight loss things
Mhm.
where they get the stomach rings and all that other stuff.
Mhm.
Um, it's like if you don't have some counseling around that or some exploration into why you allowed yourself to become that way to begin with, then
Mhm.
I find that you're just going to substitute it with something else.
Mhm.
So you'll drop one thing, but because you haven't filled that void, as you said, and you're just going to find something else to fill it. But really, what we need to fill that void with, and I'm sure you would agree, is really just going inside and being like, you know what, I kind of love myself with my flaws and all. Like, I know I'm not perfect and I know I carry some of these things and, all this other stuff, but I love and accept myself as I am. And the
Yeah.
more that we can learn to do that, then the
Mhm.
other things literally just fall off, whether it be weight, the material things, addictions of alcohol or drugs or
Mhm.
caffeine or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. I mean, shopping can be an addiction. I know I was filling the voids of my life in my early 30s, early to mid 30s, and it was with crap. It was like
Oh
with
yeah.
stuff. Um, but it's still until you sort of reconcile or even just recognize it. Because I
Mhm.
always like to bring up the point that if you're not aware of it, you're just unconsciously moving in that direction. But
Right.
once it comes into your awareness, you cannot become unaware of it. So you can either ignore it,
Mhm.
and ignoring it means you're still aware of it, or you can deal with it. And the more we can deal with our stuff as a humanity, the more this stuff is just going to drop off, like all of it.
And it takes a lot of vulnerability to be able to see your own
Oh
stuff.
my gosh, right? And it takes a willingness too. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are just happy getting by with their everyday thing, and they're just willing to conform, they're just willing to do that. And you can't judge it because maybe that's their path in
Yes.
life.
Yes. And we're
So
all at different.
yeah, we're all at different things. So it's like let them lead their path. And I'm not saying that, maybe one day they will see something different and who knows what their trigger is. The awakening moment, so to say. And
Right.
sometimes the awakening moment doesn't mean awakening to the spirituality but just awakening to like I'm something more than this body. There's something more inside of me that is just dying to come out.
Mhm.
That is it just wants to be released so much. And like you said, we have all these layers that are really covering up what our passion and our purpose is.
Mhm. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. I love the way you I love the way you conceptualize things. It's really interesting. This is a great conversation.
I've recently come to the realization that I've spent my whole life overthinking, over analyzing, and intellectualizing and deep researching and all these things. And it's like, it's all there for a reason. Now I need to like surrender and
Yeah.
realize that that's only part of it. So now I need to surrender instead of
Yeah.
like and make decisions from my heart. Cause it's like, in truth, I've done a lot of over analyzing and over researches, things that have brought me the best results possible. And then some not so much. So I think it's okay, let me take that. And now let me see what does my heart say?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to lead from the heart. It really, it sounds so simple. Like, oh, you just lead from the heart. You're like, that's a lot harder than you'd think.
Especially in every situation that we are.
Yes. And it is that trust and that surrendering that there is a divine plan for me out there, that there are, guides and spirits, and there are beings with light language that are here to send us the frequencies to heal ourselves. They agree.
They agree. Yes, they do. You're right. You're right. And it's, and again, the connection and we do often forget how, like, we have a direct line to spirit, to spirit at any time.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I first started channeling. That was one of the first messages I received was, I'm not a meditator. I'm just going to say that right now. I'm not a meditator. Never have been, probably never will be. I have meditative moments, but if I try to consciously set myself up for a meditation, it's
it's not happening.
At least at this stage.
Yeah, I am a big meditator. Sometimes I can meditate too deep. Like where I went, I'm not really sure.
Well, it's interesting because for me, I feel like a lot of my upgrades happen during my dreams.
Oh, okay.
I get a lot of downloads in my dream state. But something that came in with the light language was every minute can be a spiritual minute if you just begin to connect. So I speak the most light language in the car.
Oh.
I speak so much in the car.
I find the car very meditative. I can only focus on podcasts really while I'm driving. Otherwise, it's like I just missed a half hour. I have no idea. Well, but when I'm in the car, it's like, oh, I know everything that happened.
I'm not going so deep that it would be unsafe if I were driving, but
no. I don't go deep. It's like Jesus take the wheel moment.
Yes. Well, that accessibility for me at this particular stage, I might reach a point where I'm able to meditate, but, having 2 young kids and, it's hard.
Yeah.
But
who says that's the only way to awaken? If we're creators, then we decide how we awaken, even if it's on a subconscious level.
Yes.
Because we're going to bring it in. And subconsciously, we're going to bring it in, whatever that is. Like you brought in the light language, like you brought that in.
Yes, it's going to come in however it wants to come in.
Exactly. Love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. No. Oh my gosh, this has been such a good conversation. I would really love to have you back, but I also want to, like, how do people get in touch with you if they want a light language reading, if they want what do you call it? An alignment and
calibration.
A calibration if they want to calibrate, because like me. So how can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely.
You do Zoom and stuff. So it's not just in person, you do things over Zoom. So this is open to everybody, not just people in your area.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a website, which is nourishedhearthealing.com. And I have 2 signature kind of offerings that that I've created so far. One is sort of like a dip your toe in, I'm calling it a mini calibration.
Okay.
And that one, we don't actually meet on Zoom.
Okay.
You can, if you want to ask a question, you can, or if you want just a general kind of whatever comes through from spirit, I'll do a little bit of channeling for you in a short video and send you the video.
Oh, nice.
And then I also create a channeled AI image of one of your guides that showed up during the light language.
Ooh.
That's really fun to do. I've had dragons.
Sounds like fun.
It is. I've had dragons. I've had Archangel Raphael. I've had Kuan Yin lately. I've had an Atlantean priestess. an Avalon priestess. I've had a lot of different guides come forth. So you get to obviously have the image and the recording. And then more extensive offering would be over Zoom. They are half-hour sessions, light language calibration sessions. I have a calendar link so you can schedule yourself. And basically, those are my most favorite things to do because we sink in, we talk a little bit, and then I am the conduit for your light codes. And then at the end, we'll do a debriefing. Oftentimes with that, I'm led to go chakra by chakra.
Okay.
And sort of make, well, I'm not doing the energy, I'm just transmitting the frequencies, but help the energies get into alignment.
Perfect.
And also oftentimes just they're very kind of cleansing for the auric field too. I have a couple clients that I see on like a monthly basis, and it's kind of nice. They want to do it for themselves, just for kind of spiritual maintenance. And something new comes through each time. So those are, and I might use singing bowls in this, the crystal singing bowls in those sessions too. But those are the two offerings I'm currently focusing on. I'm very active on Instagram as well.
Okay.
At Nourished Heart.
Your Instagram handle. I'll have everything in the description for everybody, but just.
Yeah. I love posting fun little reels on Instagram and exposing people to the light language.
And what's your Instagram account?
It's Nourished Heart Heal.
Okay. All right. So take that down, Nourished Heart Heal, because hopefully you'll get a bunch of new followers. I'm sure you will.
Yay. It's so slowly growing.
Yes, it is. It is. It's like, like we said, it all comes when we're ready for it. Right. So those are all the ways to get in touch with Jessica. Do you prefer Jess or Jessica?
Jess is fine, I guess.
Oh, I don't know why I asked you at the end.
No, it's okay. I know it says Jessica on my.
But if you want to reach out to Jessica, please follow her on Instagram, sign up for one of her sessions, and experience this amazing modality for yourself. And thank you so much for taking the time to come on and sharing a bit of light language with all of us. I hope everybody feels that. It doesn't matter when you're watching this. It's all, I feel it all comes in for whoever's going to or is watching it.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely. And I hope to have you back again really soon.
That would be great.
Perfect. And for everybody else, thank you so much for watching another episode of The Wealth Within Us. And I am Michelle Blaze, and I'll see you next time.